Why am I in front of the camera again? What's going on, everybody? My name is Tim Mui. I've been a professional character designer and illustrator for over 4 years, and I just want to help artists become better at their craft. Today I'm going to be talking about 3 things that artists can do to re-inspire themselves. I've been working as a professional illustrator for a few years now, and one thing I discovered along the way is that creativity doesn't always come to us every single day. Some weeks I'm super creative. I'm always coming up with fresh ideas, cool ideas for the kids' books. Other weeks, I can't draw. I just simply cannot draw. There are just some things that I try to put on paper and it just all looks terrible. But as the years went by, I started to discover ways that I can regain that creativity every single week. And these are the 3 things that I try to practice every single day. Number 1, the first thing I do to re-inspire myself is to listen to podcasts. There are 3 specific podcasts that I like to listen to, and that's the Draftsman podcast, the 3-Point Perspective podcast, and the Perspective podcast. I know those last 2 kind of sound the same, but they are different. The Draftsman podcast is hosted by Stan Prokopenko and Marshall Vandra. Both of them are really good friends and they have great chemistry. They like to make fun of each other and they bounce ideas off of each other. They're also highly skilled artists. They can do anything. Their drawing is good, their painting is good, their understanding of all the fundamentals are amazing. The cool thing about this podcast is that they tackle a lot of beginning artist questions, like how to find your style and what are the fundamentals of drawing. The second podcast I listen to is the 3-Point Perspective podcast. This podcast is hosted by Jake Parker, Lee White, and Will Terry. All 3 are master illustrators and they've worked in several industries such as animation, children's books, and they've also been professors in art colleges. In this podcast, they talk about what life is like as a kids book illustrator. They also talk about practical things for beginning artists, like how to prepare for your portfolio or how to prepare for a Comic-Con if you're gonna set up a table. They also talk about how to work as an illustrator, like how to work with art directors and other people on your team. The last podcast I like to listen to is the Perspective podcast, hosted by Scotty Russell. Scotty Russell is a professional hand lettering artist and illustrator, and he is just such a real person. He talks about being discouraged as an artist, what it's like to struggle, how to work hard to regain that confidence and that successfulness. Successfulness? Is that a word? On the mornings when I feel like I can't draw or create something, I always listen to Scotty Russell because he always has something very encouraging to say. He also has a lot of guest artists that come on to his show and give their insight in their perspective areas. All 3 of these podcasts has helped me learn something new and encouraged me on days where I just simply can't create. Number 2, the second thing I do to re-inspire myself is to have a ton of art books. I mean, just surround myself with a ton of instructional and inspirational art books. Now, what do I mean by instructional and inspirational? Instructional art books are books that can help you build your technical skills as an artist. So books on how to draw perspective, how to understand color, how to understand light, all of those kinds of books. When you start to understand something about your craft, it encourages you to create something new. I remember the first time where I started to understand the basics of folds. And all I wanted to do was draw these characters with huge baggy clothing to see if I can get it right from memory. And now I think I'm a little bit better. Inspirational art books are the second kind of art books that I think every artist should have. These books are the art of books that you see that are based off of production art from movies, such as Spider-Verse, Zootopia. All of the Marvel movies have their own art books, and it can help you see what other successful artists are doing in their areas. And you can incorporate the things that you like about their style to your own style. I'll probably have a separate video on what art books every artist should have, but I'll go ahead and link my favorite ones down below. Number 3, the third thing I like to do to re-inspire myself, and this is kind of the most important thing, is to get lots of rest. I know a lot of artists struggle with this. When we're on a roll, all we want to do is just to keep creating, but it's during those times where I feel like rest is the most important. You don't want to work yourself to death to the point where you're just groggy and you can't create anything anymore. In an article that I read online, and I'll link it down below, it had a study that showed that sleep can actually increase creativity and productivity. So the term sleep on it may actually have some credibility to it. So when you're tired, go ahead and take a nap and don't feel guilty about it. Take 2, 3, 5 hours off. Unless you actually work in an office, don't do that. You might get in trouble. And don't blame it on me if you get in trouble. Remember, listen to podcasts, surround yourself with different art books, and don't forget to get some rest. If you like this video, go ahead and leave a like down below. And if you want to hear more artistic advice, go ahead and click subscribe, and I try to have a video out every week. I have more art advice videos if you want to go ahead and check them out, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.